Welcome everybody to our cabinet meeting. We've actually said that now we're on tour. It sounds rather more grand than it is, but to be here in this fabulous building, courtesy of George and his colleagues, it's a really fabulous building, and I think what we feel is that it's good to be out in the community, moving about the district. And this is a fabulous community centre. I think we'll all agree. So following the cabinet meeting, we shall go into phase 2, where we shall be answering questions that have been submitted to us by members of the public, and we shall try and answer as many questions as we can during that time. So we thank the public who have submitted the questions and hope we can give the answers that people are hoping for. So thanks very much for that. So we'll move on to the main agenda. We haven't any apologies. Can we approve the minutes of the 22nd of July? Thank you. I haven't any announcement to make. There are no urgent items to add to the agenda. And I don't think we need to exclude the public and press under item 5. And then can I draw colleagues' attention to declaration of interest, if there are any interests that you need to declare. Okay, thank you. The first item on the agenda is the capital programme and treasury management update. It's our Q1 capital programme and treasury management report for the period up to June 25. The capital programme is at the end of the quarter, one shown, 273 million of planned investment into the district over the next 5 years. And the paper seeks to approve the grant allocations from the Department of Education and inject them into the capital programme. Injection of 1.94 million to the capital programme. Full details in the paper, including 1.09 investment in the project at Thorns Park Stadium. The paper also sets out our usual suite of reporting on prudential borrowing and treasury management indicators. I'm asking Cabinet to approve the recommendations as set out in section 2 of the report. Are there any questions? Okay, that was very easy, thank you. If we can agree the report then, thank you very much.
Agreed.
Item 8 is the creation of a youth zone in Wakefield City Centre, pages 19 to 49. Margaret.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, it's a great pleasure to be able to present this to Cabinet today. In summary, in December 2023, the Council applied for Levelling Up Fund 3 funding to build a social and leisure facility for young people, in line with the Wakefield City Master Plan. This included the proposal to provide a youth zone in partnership with Onside. Widespread consultation and engagement activities with the public, partners and specifically children and young people as part of the City Centre Master Planning identified a need for additional social and leisure opportunities for children and young people in the city centre. The youth zone will be a modern, safe, purpose-built venue for young people to socialise, learn new skills and plan for their future. All children have equal potential, but a youth zone will help create a more equitable playing field to help more children unlock theirs. A youth zone will be an expansion of the offer already delivered by partners, particularly the voluntary, community and social enterprise sector. It will complement existing services from the Council and the VCSE sector, not compete. Onside has a proven philanthropic donations model to attract inward investment of circa £1.2 million per year for each youth zone. This approach offers a sustainable, long-term funding model. The Council couldn't fund this model alone without significant extra funding. If approved today, the youth zone will open in late 2028 and serve 700 to 1,400 young people weekly, ages 8 to 19 or up to 25 with additional needs, for just 50p per visit. It will be accessible to the whole district. 14,000 children and young people live within 30 minutes of the city centre, whilst almost everyone lives within 45 minutes. There are risks which are detailed on 28, along with the mitigations for those risks. But the benefits are that the Capital Design and Build programme is fully funded by the Levelling Up Fund 3. There's long-term sustainability through on-site funding model, state-of-the-art, safe, low-cost, inclusive space for up to 1,400 young people weekly, with a wide variety of activities on offer. It supports well-being, reduces antisocial behaviour and strengthens youth services. And it also aligns with the city centre, regeneration and council priorities. On-side have been creating these youth zones since 2008 and currently have 16 across the country, all supplying wonderful services to our children and young people. I think this is a perfect opportunity for Wakefield to do the same for our young people. I am aware that there are people here who would like to ask questions, but unfortunately didn't get the opportunity to put the questions in, so I am quite willing to meet with them after the meeting to discuss their concerns. I would also like to point out that the call-in has been waived on this because of the urgency of making the decision and accepting the funding. So I would like to put to Cabinet, the recommendation is that we accept the LUF funding, approve the acquisition of land at Ings Road, Wakefield, enter into an £11 million grant funding agreement with Onside Wakefield Youth Zone charity to design and build the youth zone, grant a 125-year lease at peppercorn rent to Onside Wakefield Youth Zone charity. And at this point I would point out that the charity will be made up of partners within the district, which will be children and young people, the council, the VCSE and businesses. And provide £1.4 million over 7 years to support operational costs from the end of 2028 in return for £1.2 million per annum of inward investment. Thank you, Leader.
Thanks very much for that, Margaret. I'll ask colleagues if they want to come in, but I think this opportunity that's been offered to Wakefield Council is absolutely amazing, and you know, I hope that we can support that today. I understand the voluntary sector have concerns about how they feel, and they are amazing across this district, and we couldn't manage without them. But I think, as we've heard here, they will be included in how we run the place, and there won't be any detriment to the voluntary sector. Because, as I say, we've relied on them for so long to deliver services for our young people. Any questions? Dan?
Yeah, thank you, Leader, and thank you, Margaret, for putting this to us today. As Leader said, what an opportunity we have here to make a real difference to people across our communities. I think the really important point I want to emphasise was that the amount of children who live just 45 minutes away from where this is going to be based, the ability to get them into this facility from across our district, some of those most deprived areas across the district, it's absolutely fantastic, and we've got the full support here, Margaret.
Thank you.
Jack?
Thank you, Lydia. Yes, fully echo with Dan's comments there as well. I think for me, we know that youth services were some of the first areas to be worst hit by government austerity back in 2010, and for me this is about filling a major gap and enhancing what local offer we've got with the voluntary sector. And I do welcome and reiterate the assurances that both Margaret and Denise have given to the voluntary sector partners. It's important we engage with them and make sure they're on board, but we have to accept this perhaps once in a generation 15 million investment from the government, which will have such an important and powerful impact for young people in Wakefield. And from a regeneration point of view as well, this is a unique opportunity to transform a part of town that's become derelict, that's a bit run down, and this can really brighten it up and enhance the appearance of Wakefield City. So I really welcome this paper and fully support it. Thank you, Leader.
Hannah?
I welcome it as well, thank you, Margaret. I think it demonstrates to young people how we listen to them. Their voices were heard as part of the consultation, and it's only right that we kind of respond accordingly. So great that we went and spoke to the young people, see what they wanted, and a fantastic opportunity to show that we listened to them.
Thank you. Michelle.
Thanks, Lydia. Yeah, I'd just like to echo comments from colleagues. I think if we look at the figures, up to 1,400 children and young people a week from all communities in our district. Every single conversation we have with residents within this district, people are telling us they want more for kids to do. They're worried about children getting swept into antisocial behaviour because there's nothing for them to do, and I'm not saying there isn't, because we know we've got a fantastic sector that's already delivering some of that, but this is not to replace that, this is to enhance that, so that the people that and the children that are being missed have somewhere as an alternative to go as well. I just think what a fantastic opportunity coming to Wakefield, and for all the work that's been done on this since 2023 and getting the funding and getting it over the line at this point. I think what an amazing opportunity for our children and young people.
Yes, thank you. I would like to add to that, when we talk about children being able to access the facility, we look at it, it's on the main line from Nottingley, Featherstone, from Castleford. It's on there's a train journey from the southeast, and of course it's on the main bus routes as well for access.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, are we happy to approve?
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Item 9, introduction of 2 free-hour car parking in off-street car parks. Matthew.
Yes, thank you, Denise. Yeah, really pleased to move this report today. Since it was announced last week or just over a week ago, it's gone down really well in the district. It's what people want. Residents want free car parking. Businesses want free car parking. We know the state that our high streets are in at the moment, so anything we can do just to make it easier to go out there to park. When people want to nip in just to do a little bit of shopping, 2 hours is more than enough. So I'm really pleased that we'll be introducing this across all car parks across the Wakefield district, from our city and our town centres, apart from Merchant Gate, where we do have a problem there obviously with the train station that use some of their parking spaces. But other than that, all our car parks will be free. It went down so well last time, and this measure with other packages that we're doing with the high street that I know Jack and Daniel are working with, it's such showing our support that we need to do. As somebody that works in catering and hospitality, not in the Wakefield district but elsewhere where we do have 2 hour free car parking, it makes so much of a massive difference to that town. So I'm really pleased we're reintroducing it. It's massively needed. So I move the report on page 53, option 1, that we reintroduce the 2 hours free car parking.
Thank you very much for that, Matthew. I think we're all very pleased that we can bring this forward to help business. I'm sure Jack and Dan will come in a minute about how we're helping business, but anything we can do to get people into our town centres, to help the business. People are not shopping, patterns are changing, people are shopping online, but 2 hours will make such a difference. People can do a good shop in 2 hours, get their hair done, get their hair cut, and businesses have responded so well to what we've done with this, and I think that this is a really good paper, and I thank you for bringing it forward. Dan. Sorry, Jack.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, I really welcome this report, as you'd expect, Matthew. I mean, one of the main things that businesses raise with me whenever I speak to them or their representatives is about parking, and it's the #1 issue probably in many respects, because we know we've got out-of-town shopping available in lots of places. Online shopping is very convenient. For me, this will enable our small businesses on the high street, your local independents, to compete, and for people to be able to more easily choose to shop local and stay in Wakefield and our towns and other villages. So I think this is a really welcome report. It will make a difference, it will help footfall, and it will really help businesses as we come into one of the most important seasons in terms of the Christmas period. So really welcome this. Thank you.
George.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. I welcome it as well and echo what's being said. I think when it was introduced temporarily after COVID or around COVID in April 2020, it did bring people back to all the town centres and the city centre as well. It's a massive boost for residents and it's a massive boost for businesses, and really glad that we've managed to secure this.
Thank you. Michelle.
Yeah, I absolutely welcome this. I think when we look at free parking, we sometimes get ourselves in the mindset of thinking, you know, just places like Wakefield and Pontefract and Castleford are going to benefit from it. But even in sort of the southeast of the district, we've got markets that are struggling, because we know that people's shopping habits have changed, and actually if you've got a supermarket a few feet away where you can park free while you go and get your fruit and veg, you're more likely to do that. So having that that free parking will support local people to be able to go and support the local independent businesses, the market traders, and hopefully change some of them shopping habits again. So I really welcome it.
Thank you, Denise. I think two really important points here. As colleagues will know, I represent a small town which has, in Normanton, which has seen a decrease in footfall over the years. And just a quick example here is one of our local greengrocers has been asking for this for a while, because he was saying that customers won't come in because they've got to pay that whatever it was, and they can just go park in the supermarket car park, which is free, and get the cauliflowers instead of shopping local. So this is really important that we have done this. But as Matthew said, as well as other things we've introduced, such as the cafe licences, which have allowed local cafes to extend out into the street to get people into the city centres. So I think it shows that we're fully there back in business, and we're listening to them, and hopefully we can do even more.
David?
Yes, just to say, as a city centre member, I'm sort of acutely aware of the impact that this could have in terms of local businesses and so on. And it does help create a level playing field between the city and town centres and the out of town places. You know, sort of like, you know, if you live at Outwood, Wakefield becomes a choice rather than going to White Rose Centre and those sorts of things, as well as the small out of town. So I think the level playing field that this creates is really important for small businesses.
Thank you. Anyone else? Margaret?
Yeah, I just reiterate what David's saying. I mean, we've seen Wakefield, but if you go to some of the apps, the areas just outside Wakefield, which are absolutely full and buzzing, that should be happening in Wakefield city centre, and it's not. So hopefully this will help us to fetch people in.
Yes, yeah. Okay, if there's no one else, anything else you want to add?
No, I
Matthew?
just think as we look to reinvent our town centres, it's not always going to be about shopping, it's about hospitality, about cafes, on drinking habits and all that, and this just gives people an incentive to come into a town city centre. So, yeah, I think it's just magnificent news, and we're all really, really pleased with it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you can tell we're all thrilled with it. Thank you very much. Can we agree this then? Thank you very much. Item 10 is the approval of the local council tax support scheme for 26-27. David.
Right, thank you, Widow. For people not aware, council tax support comes in two halves. For older people, there is a single nationwide scheme. For working age adults, each council has to have its own scheme and to review it every year. We went out to consultation in the spring on changes to the Wakefield scheme. At present, people get the council's tax discount in bands. The least well-off get a 70% discount, then 55, 40 and 25. The cost of this has been growing as more low-paid working people become eligible. It was 12.7 million in 2021, but it's forecast to be 16.7 million this year. And with the only West Yorkshire Council seeing an increase in the number of claims, it's up 2.5% actually versus a drop of 0.5% across Yorkshire as a whole. The proposals in the consultation at option 2 include a drop-in support at each level to sort of 60%, etc. We are not suggesting going ahead with this. We are, however, proposing other changes, option 3, which were included in the consultation and which were supported in the comments we received. Firstly, the savings threshold for getting support will drop from 16,000 to 6,000. The 6,000 reflects the universal credit rules and to be frank, reflects the financial position that the council is in. Secondly, unlike other West Yorkshire councils, we've previously treated universal claimant housing costs differently to non-universal credit claimants in a way that artificially reduced the income of some people and thereby increased their entitlement. Both types of claimants will now be treated the same. There's a section of the report on that. Thirdly, there are changes where there is another working age adult in the household. People will be aware that council tax is charged to the householder, but if there are other working age adults in the house, they're currently expected to contribute £5 per week. This will go up to £7.50. That's, for example, you could have someone who's unemployed in the late 50s but has a couple of adult children at home all working. So it's that sort of scenario. There are other more technical changes, but these are the key ones. I'm asking Cabinet to approve option 3 to be put to the Council later this month.
Thank you, David. Any comments, any questions? Okay. Can we approve that?
Yeah, approved.
Thank you very much. Item 11 is the Wakefield Housing Plan. Jack.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, this is the Year 2 update for Wakefield's housing plan, just updating members on progress. Over the last year, we've seen the completion of 1,055 new homes, which is fantastic. We have a good track record here in Wakefield about delivering new housing in conjunction with partners. I have to say that's still below the target of 1,400 new homes, but that is not an unusual picture with local authorities at the moment, and actually is quite a high performing completion rate. It's not just about new homes, we're also looking at other aspects of the plan and the strategy, and one of the things I'm particularly proud of is that more than 400 residents have been supported in that period with disability adaptations to their properties as well. Another aspect of the plan is that we're increasingly looking at infrastructure and making sure that when we're delivering this new housing that there is sufficient infrastructure to support it through 106 subscriptions, and that goes to the right facilities in the right places. So it's really just an update on progress at the moment, and the recommendation is for option 1 on page 141 to note the contents of the report. Thank you, Leader.
Anyone? Any questions? Okay. Can we agree with the report?
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes the first part of the Cabinet meeting. Now we go on to the session of Ask Cabinet. Through social media and our district recent resident newsletter, we asked residents to share what matters to them and their communities, what's working well and what we can improve on. Their feedback helped us to focus on what matters most locally and ensures every pound we spend makes the biggest difference that we can. We've received quite a few questions. We'll try and answer as many as we can in the next half hour we have available. Everyone who submitted a question will also receive a written reply if their question isn't read out today. Can I hand over now to Joe to take us through the next session with the question?
Yeah. Very good morning, everybody. I'm Joe Cookson, the Head of Policy and Communication at the Council. So I'm just going to be comparing the session today. So can I also echo Councillor Jeffrey's comments just to say thank you to everybody who submitted questions. We did have quite a few submitted. So the first question that we're going to pose today is from Jan, who's representative from the Memory Action Group, which is a local community organisation, and Councillor Collins. The Memory Action Group is a peer support group for people living with dementia and their carers, which was established in 2018, operated up in centre at West Wakefield Methodist Church in Thorns. Church are really supportive, but they need larger premises to support their growing work. They've had some historic plans which they haven't come to fruition. So the question is, will the council help MAG to relocate to larger premises so we can continue to provide much needed support for local residents?
Thanks, Joe, and thanks to Jan for the question. I think we all know that the demand for adult social care at the moment is bigger than it's ever been. And we want all vulnerable adults in our area to get the best possible care, wherever that may be. We are doing more for our Maximising Independence programme to care for more people at home and to continue that independence as long as possible. And organisations like Memory Action Group are really crucial to supporting us to do that. You know, Memory Action Group and many other voluntary sector organisations play a real role in getting us to that place where we can keep people at home longer, living well longer, and supporting carers as well. So I'd just like to place on record our thanks to the Memory Action Group for everything that you do and for playing such a valuable part in that community role. I am more than happy to sit with officers. I think it's probably a cross-portfolio question in terms of property as well. So I'm absolutely happy to reach out to officers both in adult social care and in property to see if we can sort of facilitate and support in any way in getting a bigger space to deliver the absolutely crucial work that you do.
Thanks, Michelle. Next question is from Ollie from Alderthorpe, and it's for Councillor Eyre. It's about trees. Even though budgets are increasingly stretched, our local environment and tree planting are a priority. He's asked specifically about the removal of several cherry trees on Melbourne Road a few months ago. I and many neighbours were shocked to learn that the council doesn't have a budget to replace trees that are being cut down across the district. And how does this lack of budget affect the council's efforts to improve our local environment, access to green space, net zero goals and preserving the character of the neighbourhood? Will the Cabinet consider funding replacement of trees that have been removed?
Thank you, Joe. And thank you, Ollie, for the question as well. I think in terms of, it's a long question, I'll try and break it down into 3 parts. So in terms of the cherry trees, I understand that they were diseased and it could have caused a safety risk to the public. So that's kind of the background as to why they would have been removed. Absolutely right in terms of the net zero and our priorities as a council. But where we plant trees is obviously crucial to hitting those targets as well. So in the last five years, we've planted around 180,000 new trees across the district. We've created new woodlands in several areas, and we have continued to add to the woodlands that we've got to obviously capture that carbon and create better green spaces. But coming back directly to Ollie's question around the budget, as everyone knows, has been really stretched over the last 15 years. But as a council, a few weeks ago, the cabinet and group, leading group of Wakefield Council decided that we're going to review the tree policy. We are going to look at this and consider how we can make those improvements and see what budget we can get to replace trees. I think it's important to say about what the ward councillors have raised that in Ollie's area and take it very seriously. But it's important to note that if a tree is diseased, where would we replant a new tree? Would it have to be the same species? Could it go in the same place if it's at risk of getting diseased again? So there's questions around that, and there's questions around the tree policy, but we are taking it seriously, and we do want to change that policy. Thank you.
Thanks, George. So one of our most popular topics, if not the most popular, as per any public question time that I've ever been to, is around buses. So I'm going to just ask a few questions, because there's quite a bit about buses, and maybe ask Matthew to give a bit of an update on where we are with bus services. So Wayne from Kirkthorpe was asking about when is bus service. Claire from Alltops asked about bus services in Alltops returning to half-hourly because she has some mobility issues and really relies really heavily on buses. And then also, Matt from Castleford was asking about bus franchising and where we are with that, and specifically how many years are we going to have to wait, and are we putting some pressure on the West Yorkshire Mayor about their plans for bus franchising?
When you say what we're getting right and what we're getting wrong, well, I think everyone will disagree that bus services is nothing that's going right with them at the moment. Yeah, it's one of most things we get talked about. I think we've all got experience and something we can say about buses as well. So it's something that I just need to explain that as a council, we're not directly responsible for buses. That lays with the West Yorkshire Combined Authority and the Mayor, but we do work closely and we do lobby the Mayor. So Arriva run the majority of services in our district, and it was interesting they was ranked 55 out of 55 for overall satisfaction across the country. So when it comes to the bus services, franchising for the Wakefield district, we'll have to wait till 2028, but it's something that I know the Cabinet, the leader, myself, we are pressuring the Mayor to see if that could be altered in any way, see if we can fetch them to come forward. The franchising service that we will get will reflect what it was in February 2024, so any cuts that's been made there, the Combined Authority will have to put them back in. So what we've seen over the last numerous years, last couple of years, a lot of our services reduced. So if you had an hourly service, an half-hour service gone to an hourly service, where myself and Jack represent, the 110 and one of the best services in the district every 10 minutes. So that will have to go back to that as well. But it's something we're loud and clear. We need a fit-for-purpose bus service. You know, if we want people to encourage people to get into our town city centres, free parking is going to help, but also if you don't have a car, bus services are much more needed. So it's something I can't stress enough how much it's important to us as a cabinet, as a council, a controlling group, that we need to get them services back in. And it's not just about getting the service back in, it's enhancing service. We know in the south east of the district how that's suffered with poor public transport for years and years. So it's really about getting them services out there as much needed. So I think that's as much as I can say at the moment, but I'm sure everyone else has an opinion on it. But yeah, that's we hear you loud and clear, we need to get them services back in.
Thanks for that, Matthew. Next question was from Gillian from Renthorpe, and it was about plans for the city centre, but also about antisocial behaviour in the city centre. So I think maybe a combination of Councillor Wilton and Councillor Hemingway for this one. So are there any plans to maintain the trees in the area between the cathedral and the buildings around the cathedral? I'm talking about how they provide an obstruction in the area, but also Gillian finds the area a bit intimidating because people congregate around there and there's begging and drinking going on.
Yeah, thank you, John. Thank you, Gillian, for the question. I'll break it into two parts, and then I think Dan might want to come in more on some of the community safety aspects. Look, safety in the city centre is incredibly important to us as a council. If we don't have a safe city, if people don't feel safe and comfortable, then they're not going to come into shop, they're not going to come in to enjoy time there, and we really want it to be a safe and welcoming space. So very much take those concerns on board, and there's lots going on at the moment in this space. So we've recently set up a city centre task force, which is bringing together the businesses, some of the key partners, to look at the main issues that are affecting the city, and that includes aggressive begging, and it includes some of the other antisocial behaviour issues that Gillian's alluded to. They will be dealt with through a mix of increased police patrols, through expanding the public space protection orders and reinforcing those that we've got, and generally action visibility from the council and local partners to make sure that there's a visible presence that deters that sort of crime and behaviour. And as well as that, we are looking at things like the trees and making the city a more attractive place physically. So the trees specifically around the cathedral, they are part of a conservation area, so there's limitations to how much we can remove of those, and they are protected to an extent, and they are part of the character of the area. But I take on board Gillian's concern, and we will look to see what we can do about cutting those trees back. And I'm aware that as bird nesting season comes to an end, we are looking and working with the Arbour team about doing some work on those trees and others in the city centre. Dan, I don't know if you want to add anything to the police.
Yeah, just quickly, and again, thank you to Gillian. I think sometimes we do have to shout about the good things we do. So in the 2024 to 25 period, we successfully applied 32 criminal behaviour orders, we had 4 public order protection orders in place, and we issued 164 fixed penalty notices for antisocial and nuisance behaviour. And quite importantly for us, as partners working with the police to ensure that they're, when they're out and about, our enforcement officers are working closely with them to ensure we're covering everywhere possible. And we absolutely know there's some of these hot spots, and it's for us to ensure that officers are in there at the right times. And just quickly, we are reviewing powers to tackle aggressive begging, substance misuse and social gatherings, and again, getting those more enforcement officers on the street working with the police to make a difference.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Next question is from Barry from Pontefract, and I'm going to come to Councillor Morley and Councillor Eyre for this one. It's about Hardwick Road and Pontefract. Barry's asked, when are we going to get a crossing on Hardwick Road? Been promised but haven't been announced, but one has been announced for Hardwick Road. Do we have to wait until someone is killed or there's a serious accident to make the very busy road safer?
I'm going to let Councillor Eyre speak on this because it is something that you've been campaigning on for years, George. Yeah. I think you can answer it more eloquently than I can, quite truthful.
Yeah, so Hardwick Road, thank you, Barry. I think I might know who Barry is, and I hope my family's well, Barry. But it's very serious in terms of the speed that traffic comes down Hardwick Road at. It's currently a 40 mile per hour. And there is a school on the other side of the housing estate, which residents really do need that crossing sooner rather than later. As far as my knowledge is, no one's been hurt crossing that road yet, but obviously it is a serious concern for the council and for the local members as well. In terms of Ackworth Road will be finished this year. We wanted it in before September, but it will be done, I'm told, by your team, Councillor Morley, that it will be done by the end of this year. But there's a larger piece of work to be done on the Hardwick Road site, which Barry talks about, and that's because it is a 40 mile per hour. We have got a new housing estate being built. There is a blind spot on the access, and what officers are saying is that it needs to be reduced to a 30 mile per hour. and then obviously the traffic calming measures and the pedestrian crossing can be put in. It'd be good for it to be done by this financial year, but it will definitely be done next year, Barry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next question is from Marianne from Altofts and is for Councillor Morley. So the council's recently done some resurfacing work at Pope Street in Altofts, and it happened from the railway bridge to the end of Pope Street. It happened in July. Marianne was disappointed with the work because it left part of the road untouched to the M62, and she's found it uncomfortable to travel whether by car or on bike since the work's happened. So she's asked, can I ask why it wasn't resurfaced and if there are any plans to complete further work?
So over the next 2 years, the council will be spending over £20 million on our highways network. We're also looking to put some additional money into that for this financial year as well. When you look at the network of the Wakefield district, you know, it stretches from Land's End to John O'Groats. That's how big it is. It's quite truthful, and it's something that we're constantly looking at the roads right across the district. We're taking surveys, we check them every 12 months, and I get quite lots of, why aren't you doing the full stretch of the road? Well, sometimes you just can't afford to do the full stretch of the road, or a part of the road will still be in a decent condition, maybe not pristine condition, but a decent condition that we could last for another 12 months to 18 months to resurface it the following year. We've said time and time again, this year we're putting more money than we've probably ever put into the highways district, the highways network across the district. But what we probably would need is something like £70 million every year, probably for the next 10 years, to get it up to a reasonable, good standard, plus supporting infrastructure. So that's what you're up against. You're loud and clear. We will come back to you, Marianne, with some dates when we are looking to resurface that road. So my team will be back in touch with you, but thank you for the question, much appreciated.
Thanks, Father. I'm sticking with you, you're very quick.
Oh, thank you.
The next one's from Darren from Renthorpe, and Darren's asking about pavement parking, which I know is a hot topic, isn't it? So he's asked what's happening about people parking on pavements. His wife uses a mobility scooter on a daily basis and finds it increasingly difficult to get out.
Totally and utterly get where he's coming from. It is for people using mobility scooters or people using wheelchairs, pushchairs. It is a nightmare. Fully get where everyone's coming from on this one. The responsibility for obstruction of pavement does belong with West Yorkshire Police, but it's also they have to be pragmatic about it. When I look at some of the streets where I represent, where I live, if people didn't partially park on the pavement, the roads would come to a complete standstill as well. That being said, they shouldn't be totally blocking them. You should still be able to get a double buggy down there. So I just urge everybody to be, when you're looking at parking on pavements, be respectful. Think about other users that use them pavements on there. And if you do see when it's being constantly blocked, please report to West Yorkshire Police.
Thanks, Matthew. Next question is from Carl, and it's about council assets that have been sold recently. So they come to Councillor Cruiskill and potentially Councillor Jeffrey about anything. So the question is, what has happened to money from the sale of council-owned land in the last 10 years? Has it been invested to help all local constituents? And then Carl specifically asked why are developers who have bought assets like Red Hill Infants, for example, being allowed to leave them looking like an eyesore and not developing them?
Right, thank you, Carl. When we sell land or a building, it's called a capital receipt, and all the money from this comes to the council. The government doesn't get a cut or anything if people are thinking there's that sort of thing going on. But the money that we receive can then only be used to fund other capital schemes, not for the day-to-day running costs of the council. So the money is used, say, to refurbish leisure centres, build new children's homes, etc., or to pay off sort of previous borrowing. And I suppose the issue about sort of once we've sold land, it is difficult. We have limited restrictions on people once they've sold it. There'd be, you know, depends on the terms of the sale. I don't know if there's anything specific to Red Hill.
Yeah, if I can come in on Red Hill. The council still owns the Red Hill site, but I do get the frustration from colleagues that and we still own it, but in general, what happens, developers come buy sites and then land bank them for a long time, for months, years, and the frustration for the local community is absolutely dreadful. But new legislation is coming in where they're going to have to, if they buy land and they put an application in, it's going to have to be followed through. But on Redhill, we haven't sold it yet because it's part of the Housing Investment Fund to get 100% affordable housing into the area. But I do take the fact that it is an untidy site, and I will make sure that it gets cleaned up until we start to move forward. We will be putting it forward for sale towards the end of the year.
Thanks, Denise. Thanks, David. The next question is from Sarah from Pontefract, and it's about community facilities and support. So I'm probably going to come to Councillor Differy and Councillor Wilson on this, if that's okay. So Sarah's asked, with the cost of living remaining high, what is being done to make sure a balance is struck between managing the council budget and services and making sure things remain accessible to communities, particularly in disadvantaged areas. Sarah's particularly thinking around Nottingley and Ferrybridge, which has council services removed, and yet it's still in one of the most deprived areas of the country, and she's concerned that lack of access to facilities kind of exacerbates the problem and causes some issues in those communities.
Yeah, and I can understand the frustration. Local government is underfunded by, and has been underfunded by every government, you know, whether it's our government or the past government, and it is, excuse me, very difficult to balance the books and look at helping communities. But we've done all we can over the last few years to help communities, and I know Dan will probably want to speak about the Household Support Fund that we've put in place to help people. And when the current government made the decision to cut the winter fuel allowance, which it's been a terrible situation over this year, and it will still be, and we'll see what happens this winter. But we then set out trying to get people onto pension credit so that they could claim the benefit of the winter fuel. We do all we can. We do understand how communities feel, and particularly in deprived areas. And you mentioned Nottingley, but we are building a new facility at Nottingley on the site of Kellingley Club, a new centre in conjunction with the local football team, and hopefully move forward with development there. I don't know whether, Dan, you want to come in about the household support, etc.
I will, yeah. Thank you, Denise, and thank you, Sarah, for the question. I think importantly to note that through our Residents First group, we and partners are constantly working to reduce poverty and support residents with any challenge that they have with the cost of living. We also have our Help at the Hubs offer that are out there in the community, supporting people with money, debt, energy bills, housing, job skills, and even more. And we're continuing that over the next year. As well as that, we have other services like Money Smart, a council service to help people manage their money. And then, as Denise mentioned, the Household Support Fund, which is £5.5 million from the government to help residents with the cost of living that'll be going until March 2026. Importantly, with that, eligible households don't need to apply for the Household Support Fund, and the vouchers should automatically be coming through the door to all households that are on council tax support. And Denise and I were out a couple of weeks ago in Castleford talking to residents about that, and with the Revenues and Benefits team, telling them about other benefits that they can get that they didn't know about. So we're doing all we can, and we'll also quite soon be launching another roadshow, a benefits roadshow across the district to support people to get any support that we might be able to offer.
Thank you, Dan. I'm going to stick with you if that's okay, Councillor Wilson. So the next question is from Jeremy from Wakefield, and it's about crime and antisocial behaviour, but potentially didn't know if Councillor Appley and the Councillor Issue would want to build on this as well, just about our sort of offer for young people, because we just obviously have to have a topical conversation about that. But Jeremy's predominantly asking us about what's the council doing about drugs being openly sold on the city streets? And then he said about the incredible number of barbers, vape shops and drivers using the city streets as a racetrack.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy, and I really do hear you. I think above anything else, if anybody does witness any criminal activity, to report it through the police via 999 or 101 if it's not an emergency. Priority number one that we've been working closely with West Yorkshire Police on is more officers in Wakefield City Centre. There's 11 more now patrolling the streets with the local neighbourhood police team, which we can really see. And if you do go out into Wakefield, you do see them out and about, which is fantastic. 5 of those officers are based in Wakefield City Centre, 4 in Castleford and 2 in Pontefract. This is really supporting our towns, as well as we talked about earlier, supporting businesses to get people through the door. As well as that, we've got 2 extra enforcement officers which have been successfully funded and are joining those patrols as well to keep that additional presence up to support the residents of the towns and cities where they are. We've also got the plans, and I believe it might be pretty soon we're bringing it here, is our PSPO on car cruising across the district. This has been something that has been overwhelmingly positive. I won't go into too much detail because it will be coming back to Cabinet shortly, but this has been a really positive exercise which has seen people really supportive of what we're trying to do. I don't know if Hannah and Margaret want to come in.
Yes, thank you for the question. I think it's really important that it's about us providing people, whether it's young people and adults, with things to do. So if we take Wakefield Exchange, for example, we're really, really keen on and very clear that we provide an event space for people that is free. So there's free events that people can go and enjoy, and it's positioned right in the heart of the city centre, next to the bus station, so everybody from around the district can come into the city centre. We provide a wide range of programming, again to appeal to people, so that there isn't that sense of not having anything to do. Whether it's our cultural events, I think culture has a really important role to play in terms of that sense of being proud of where you're from, wanting to look after where you're from, to perhaps stop people drawing into the more negative behaviours. So I think events, culture, we provide as much as we can to help draw people in for positive activity.
Yeah, totally agree with Anna. I think that's the way to stop this negative activities, is to have a vibrant city centre where people come for the right reasons, for the positive reasons, to enjoy themselves, to meet, to socialise. I mean, we've approved the youth zone today, which will complement all the excellent work that's already been done by youth work teams across the city and the voluntary sector. So, as well as another superb offer in the city centre, and it all works together to make it that sort of place which will push everything away that is negative and bring the positivity into that city centre.
Yeah, just one more thing about the drug situation. It's been great in the town centres with the extra police, but in my community and a lot of communities, the drug dealing is now being pushed out of the town centres into individual communities, and people are really suffering where they live, and they're actually looking out the windows and seeing drug dealing going on. And we've had a meeting with senior police, and I had a meeting yesterday with Alison Lowe, the Police and Crime Commissioner, and they are taking it seriously, and there will be action taken about that, with extra resources put in to try and clean up our communities, because people are now not just only concerned about the town centres, but they're concerned about their street in which they live. And I wanted to raise that because it is an issue that I'm getting at my surgeries, and I know some of you are, I know Jack is and George is. So I don't want people to think that we're not dealing with it and it's just about town centres, because it isn't. But we are doing our best, working with the police to try and improve the situation. And a number of arrests have been made already.
Thanks, Al. And the final question is particularly topical when thinking about urban. So Sarah has asked about flags, so I'm going to come to Councillor Hemingway about this. So Sarah's asked, with increased tensions in local communities and encouragement from some on social media to increase the number of St George's flags in that area, what is the council doing to promote a message that Wakefield is a safe and welcoming place for everybody?
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, that is a very topical question, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to miss the wave of flags that have gone up around our communities and the local area. As a council, we're trying to reflect the needs and views of various different communities on this, and we know some people get a sense of pride from seeing the flags up. We know it makes some people feel a little bit uncomfortable. Some people are generally worried about it and feel a little bit intimidated by it, and that's not acceptable, and we have to strike a balance that reflects and supports all our communities. So the approach the council's adopted at the moment is what I describe as safety first. So when we're seeing those flags up on road signs or pedestrian crossings, quite carelessly sometimes we're having to take those down, and that's about keeping the public safe and making sure that road markings are clear for the highway. But other than that, generally speaking, we're leaving flags up and not taking down those we don't have to. In terms of some of the other issues around this, like the graffiti that we're seeing on roundabouts and some cases on bus stations, that's got to be cleared away. We can't leave it. That's damage to public property, and it runs the area down. But we're trying to support this outpouring of patriotism we're seeing, but also trying to support those communities that feel a little bit alienated by it. What we're really keen to do, and we'll be announcing this later this week, is have a bit of a consultation, really. We've got this safety first approach, that's how we're handling it, but what do communities think? We know social media can't always be the best place for that discussion, and sometimes people can feel reluctant to share their views. So we'll be putting forward a web link where people can share their views privately, let the council know about what we should be doing, what they think we should be doing, and just really try and find a way through this that doesn't inflame tensions in communities and supports everyone that calls Wakefield home. Because ultimately the flag's about bringing people together and not dividing people. It's called the Union flag at the end of the day. It brings people together, and that's what we need to remember through all this.
Thanks, Jack. That concludes the questions.
Okay. Thanks very much. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.